Why is it so important that we live in the present moment? It's because our relationships depend on it. Our relationships is why we're here, right? It can be a relationship that we have with our siblings, with our parents, with our partners, our children, our colleagues, our clients, and anyone that comes along our journey that might need our presence in their life. We have the power to actually turn our pain into power, provided we understand the value of being present. So this video is all about inspiring you to think outside the box slightly, because so much of our problems today come from not being present. And let me tell you a story about this, about why I chose to let go of my past and really just transmute the painful memories into my power that I live with today. A long time ago, when I was a teenager, I pretty much was in a foreign land. We migrated to Australia, and I really didn't know the language properly. I didn't feel like I fit in, and I was also not in a very safe space within the family structure. I didn't feel safe. And it went on for about 10 years that I had this feeling inside me of feeling really uncomfortable in my own skin, in my own body, in my own life. And so I spent 10 years being very absent. And I didn't know back then why I was doing that, because to me that was the only way. I didn't realize that I was actually numb because I wasn't prepared to feel, and I didn't have the wherewithal to know that I had to actually become present. Now, 10 years of numbing out resulted in me having lots of health issues. And those health issues got me started to become more in tune with my body, and the body let me know how to look into it, right? Some examples of this was, I'd be in a yoga class and my tummy would be so irritated, and I'd just go, whoa, I can't focus. I can't do this, right? But it was then that I realized that, hang on, it's not just happening in this yoga class, it's just that I'm present right now. I don't have any distractions, and all I have to do is focus on myself, and that's what I'm finding. And it's then that everything clicked, that this is why I was so numb. I was constantly in avoidance of feeling what was happening inside my body. I was afraid. I felt scared. Is anyone resonating out there listening to this? Have you gone through this already in your journey? Now, a lot of us find ourselves in situations where, we haven't gone through a pleasant experience, and the first thing we want to do is feel happy again. And we find the next best thing to go, away from the pain that we feel. Now, of course, when you have just gone through it, it's okay for you to, kind of find a way to find some respite, to come out of the shock. But once the shock is over, it's necessary to develop skills or the support system to take care of yourself fully. Because the past has such a big hand over what we are doing currently. It is only really logical that we learn skills to be able to release the past, the part of the past that doesn't belong in this present moment, but also transmute and transform our past story into our power to become more present currently. Some of the reasons that I notice myself being driven to develop the skill of being present were that there were too many opportunity costs. I felt that I would be so checked out that I wouldn't have the power to take inspired action because I wasn't in touch with inspiration to start with. I'll tell you what the difference between inspiration and that forceful action is first. So I noticed myself taking action to impress others. Like at that time, I was young, so I was trying to impress my family because I actually didn't I didn't follow through with the family's desire for me to go into a law degree, and I chose to follow my own path. And I'd find myself doing things to try and impress the family to make sure they understood that, hey, look, I chose the right thing for me. I brought this up with my students in the past and clients in the past, and they resonated with me. And I don't know if you're listening and you're thinking, let me listen more. I want you to keep listening, and I hope this is a relevant story for someone out there. Then the inspired action was that, when I love doing something, I would just do it without even worrying whether anybody cares or not. So I just became aware that there was a difference between inspired action and a forced action. And that's what helped me realize that, wow, I'm missing so many opportunities because I don't have enough things in my life or activities in my life that are from that inspiration space. A lot of the things I do is to kind of push myself to do things so that I can prove that I'm worthy and I'm smart and I'm capable and in other people's eyes. So the opportunities that I was losing out on was growth, and love and connection. And also so much of my success relied on me being more inspiration driven. And that drove me to choose practices that helped me become more present with myself and to really start examining my thought process for why I do what I do, why I choose what I choose, and what is my driving reason for what I choose for me in my life. That was number one. Another one that I realized was I took stock of where I was at the time. And man, my bank account was really bad. This is going back in my 20s. I was in debt, over 20K debt by the age of 22. Can you believe it? And the reason why I was in that debt was because all I knew was to spend. All I knew was, earn money and spend money. Because for me, I never thought outside of what I didn't know, right? So what I was always thinking was how I've grown up seeing things about money, which is everyone in my, family, they had a stable job. So they were earning and they were spending, right? Nobody talked about investing. Nobody talked about multiplying money. They didn't really talk about money at all. And why I'm bringing this up right now is because that's what helped me realize, like, what is an investment? I didn't even see myself as an investment. So I had two different actions I was taking. So my past, education came from growing up in an environment where nobody talked about money and investing in yourself. Rather, they saw education as as being a way to make yourself more marketable, to make more money, to be able to just spend it, right? Nobody talked about you becoming an asset for yourself or an investment for yourself. So a big thing that I did for myself, which was really, really cool, was to learn that, wow, actually, I have poor health right now, financial health and physical health, because I have never seen myself as an investment. I always saw myself as someone that has to have output all the time, right? And that took presence by taking stock of where I was. And I didn't do it alone, by the way. So, how I actually became more aware of this was noticing that firstly, money was tight very early on in my journey of being independent as an adult. At 22, having jobs and then having that life where you're spending a lot of money, but then you're not seeing anything with you, not having the freedom, you realize very soon that, well, debt is debt and it's a negative thing. So I, of course, realized that I was in trouble. That was my interpretation of it. At the same time, I also sought a mentor's help, right? And that's when I became aware of the fact that you can have mentors outside of uni, outside of colleges. You can actually, talk to people that will help you. So this is how I became present about taking stock of where I was and realizing that, hey, my past hasn't really educated me, but that's okay. Now I get to learn from my personal experience of where I am, and that in the coming years, I need to continue to invest in myself to stay aware, present, and future forward moving with more intentional strategies in place. I realized that very young. And last thing I wanted to also share about my story was I just doing one thing my future self would know that I was right in doing. So when I found yoga, I didn't know I wanted to become a business owner as a yoga teacher, right? I did not know that that was my future. But I knew that at that time, the only thing that was making me feel present with my own conditions was that, right? And financially, I wasn't doing so well. Financially or mentally, I wasn't doing so well. But what gave me relief was just me releasing so much of the tension that I was holding from not having dealt with it for the last 10 years of my adult life, right? So what I realized from all these experiences, the three things that I shared with you, when it came to learning about my health, I also started noticing how my eating patterns were shaped as I grew up, that I would overeat, right? Because I grew up hearing you need to finish what's on your plate because we don't waste food, right? We don't waste food in this family. And so not only did I not know how much food I need to eat, I also had a bad habit of taking more than I needed and having to finish it all, right? So I got used to overeating quite a lot, and that of course led to digestive problems, etc. And so that started my journey off into becoming present with the habits that I had, which were causing me problems. And then I had to heal them through Ayurveda and doctors, right? And also just taking my power back from the past to becoming more and more present. So today, I just want to share with you, whoever's listening out there, if you're a woman who's in her 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, I am sure you've had some of these realizations already where you've got habits and patterns showing up which are not what you want, and you want to release them, right? Because habits are what creates our future. And some of our habits, we've never reviewed them, and so we'd never look at them in other ways, right? So my tip for you is to take stock of where you're at currently, right? Take stock about this area of your life or your life in general and realize, where you're currently at. Also, look at what are the opportunity costs you are missing. Because is it interfering with your relationships? Is it interfering with your ability to have fun in your life? Is it interfering with you being free enough to make new choices, right? And last thing is, if you are unhappy with some things in your life, how it's going, what would your future self do differently, right? Who would you be without these problems? And step into that version of you to ask yourself, well, what if I didn't have these habits or patterns that were, a product of my past? How would I do things differently then? And so I want you to just see that, it's completely possible, because of course, everything is in the past as soon as we've come to the present moment, right? But when I'm talking about living away from the past, meaning stopping to live in the past, what I'm really saying is that we as human beings are a collection of memories, right? And our memories can either empower us or disempower us. And it is our problem when our disempowering past disempowers us in the present. But it is also our duty to empower ourselves through finding new ways to use our past to propel us forward. By being really present, by applying all sorts of tools that are available to us in this modern age. You've access to the internet, you've access to my channel, you've got access to mentors and coaches that are around you. Maybe there's one in your workplace, maybe there's one in your uni, maybe there's one in your college. Ask for it and you'll receive it, right? And today I just want to share with you that I also think there needs to be a development of self-awareness, and self-awareness can be cultivated through self-inquiry. And self-inquiry is just check in with yourself every day, how you feel. Look at how you're thinking, like the quality of your thoughts you're experiencing, and also notice your life results. Don't ignore them, because you deserve the best, right? And whatever you have, to be grateful for them. You don't need to ignore the problems. You can still be grateful as well as addressing the problems. So I want you to also check out my video that I created during the Christmas break about being present and how to amplify being present through the skill of gratitude. And I explain gratitude a little differently, so check it out in the link above, or it'll be in the next video linked here. So my friend, I hope you got a lot of value out of this. Check out the next video. It will really help you out to put presence into practice. And of course, what you'll see through your journey of becoming more and more present, using your pain into your power, is that you will also start inspiring others around you. You'll be able to share your love and your light even more effectively.